So, good evening, everyone. Just gonna start the window. Just this. If I just share this. Okay. All right. So, starting today, I think I've already introduced the schedule. First of all, can we make sure that you can hear me? Can somebody confirm in the chat that my audio is clear? I can do that myself, I guess. Clear. All right. Thank you. Okay. I don't know what that is. So, today is the reading day. So basically on Tuesdays, I do full reading passage and I walk you through my thought process and I share with you my tips that help me do it really fast and really well as well. And then on Thursdays, it's task one. First, we analyze a model answer by an examiner, and then we write one. I write one myself live, one task one report or essay. And then on Saturdays, it's a task 2 day where I attempt a difficult, usually I try to choose difficult questions under exam conditions. I walk you through my process. I make a plan live, brainstorm, no research before writing, and everything is authentic. After that, we analyze vocabulary, topic-specific vocabulary for different topics. That's the plan, that's the schedule. For more information, you can join my Telegram channel, which is in the description. So today I've chosen Cambridge 20. Some of you might have done it already, but that's unfortunate. Yeah, I'm just gonna do it anyway. So first I need to set a timer. I'll do it for 1 hour. Okay, and I think we're all set. We can start. Yeah, so let's begin. I'm gonna start the timer. All right. Okay, so I've never done this before. The kakapo, interesting. A flightless parrot that is critically endangered. Okay, so for passage one, I follow two things. So first, I need to use location keywords very well so that I don't have to read the whole text. I can just jump from one answer to the next because questions usually follow order. And the second thing is I have my strategy for either of these question types. So for true, false, not given, for example, if there's a difficult question, I just turn it. If it's like one of the questions, which are usually given as statements, if it's difficult, then I turn it into a question. That way, it's easier for me to answer it. So let's do that with the first one. So there are other parrots that share the kakapo's inability to fly. So, okay. Here, the question form would be, are there other parrots that share the kakapo's inability to fly? And my location keyword is parrots. Actually, it's hard to find the location keyword here, but I'm just going to assume that it's going to be in the beginning of the paragraph. So let's go. The kakapo, also known as the owl parrot, is a large forest-dwelling bird with a pale old face, whatever. It's the world's only flightless parrot, right? Only flightless parrot, which means there are no other parrots that share its inability to fly. Yes, so it's one of its kind. Unfortunately, not in a positive sense of the word. Unfortunately for the bird, of course. So let's move on. Adult kakapo, it's funny every time I say it, produce chicks every year. So my keyword here is every year. So does it produce chicks every year? Do they create offspring every year? So our solitary birds intend to occupy the same home range for many years. They forage, which means they look for food, whatever. They often leap from trees. I'm looking for the word chicks, by the way. This is my location keyword. Every year is my meaning keyword. Like, do they do it every year or every other year or multiple times a year or something like that? Okay, so there you go. Breed. Whoops, sorry. Okay, breed means to reproduce. So males play no part in incubation or chick rearing. Females alone incubate eggs and feed the chicks. The one or four legs are laid in soil, which is repeatedly turned over before and during incubation. Has to spend long periods away, which leaves the unattended eggs and chicks particularly vulnerable to predators. Wait, my answer was. Oh wait, what the hell? Sorry, guys. I'm experiencing a brain lag. The answer was in the first sentence. So let's look at the question again. So, does it do it every year? It doesn't. They do it only in years when food is plentiful. So, if there's a year when they can't find enough food, then they don't reproduce that year. So it's another false. Yeah. Adult male kakapo bring food back to nesting females. Okay, so male bring food back to nesting females. Let's see. Has to spend long away from the nest searching for food, which leaves the unattended eggs vulnerable to predators. Now I'm a little confused. Okay, so males play no part in incubation or chick rearing. Okay, that actually answers the question. So they don't do anything for bringing up children. That's actually a bit sad. However, the answer is false. They don't. Females have to look for food and take care of children all by themselves, sometimes leaving their children vulnerable to predators, like all alone. Yeah, that's actually pretty sad. Okay, the Polynesian red was a greater threat to the Kakapu than Polynesian settlers. Okay, greater threat. Wait, sorry. Highlight the Polynesian rat. Let's find Polynesian red. First Polynesian settlers, for the early settlers, the flightless was easy prey. Its meat and used its feathers to make soft cloaks, which also preyed on kakapo, had become confined to the central. All right, easy not given because we don't have comparison. So they both harmed the poor kakapo, but unfortunately, like, we don't know which one of them were a greater threat to their population. So the red, this is my keyword where I found the answer. All right, let's continue. Kakapo were transferred from, or like, you can see that I'm not reading everything. I'm trying to look for the location keywords. Were transferred from Rakura Island to other locations because they were at risk from feral cats. So the keyword here is because. So what's the reason they were transferred from this island to other locations? And that's the thing that confuses many IELTS candidates with true, false, not given. Like, what's the meaning keyword? Usually it's only just one word or one part of the question that you need to focus on and ignore everything else, basically. It's like you don't have to find the synonyms for every single word in the question for it to be true. You just need to find that one part and its synonym, right? Or its antonym, something that contradicts it. So in this case, it's the reason. So I'm going to assume that they were definitely transferred to this place, but why? Okay, so first let's find Rakira Island. Uh, oh, I think it's here, right? Predation by feral cats on this island led to a rapid decline in kakapo numbers. Okay, after I finish this question, I need to tell you something else. In kakapo numbers, kakapo, okay, by feral cats led to rapid decline. As a result, the surviving population was evacuated to 3 island sanctuaries: Codfish Island, etc., etc. The answer is true. Because they were at risk from feral cats. Yes, they were. So they were predated. Okay, I'm not sure if that's a word. Yeah, predation by these cats led to a significant decline. So they had to be evacuated to elsewhere to avoid their extinction. Okay, yes. So you saw that the previous question was here, and question 5 is actually all the way down here. And I'm just going to ignore everything that comes in between. And that's the power of location keywords. So you can know where the answers are by just looking at them. You don't have to read anything that comes in between the questions. That's one thing. Another thing is, I think most teachers, when they teach IELTS reading, uh, they tell their students to work on multiple question types at the same time. For example, here you can do true, false, and gap filling at the same time. And that probably, okay, what was I going to say? I'm not going to finish that sentence. So what I teach is, instead of that, I just tell my students to focus on one question type at a time. That way, your performance is more concentrated, and it's just easier. It's actually usually faster as well. Yes, I might have to come back and read this part, but since I have location keywords, that's not a problem at all. All right, let's continue. One recovery plan initiative that helped increase the kakapo population size was caring for struggling young birds. Yes, so caring for young birds. Did they do that? Recovery plan is my location keyword, and this is my main meaning keyword. All right, there you go. This is the location keyword. With this specialist advisory group, renewed steps were taken to control predators on the 3 islands. Cats were eradicated, and possums were eradicated. The population did not start to increase until rats were removed, and the birds were more intensively managed, moving the birds between islands, supplementary feeding of adults, and rescuing and hand raising any failing chicks. Yes, so this recovery plan did involve rescuing and hand raising any failing chicks. So failing chicks means struggling young birds. So that's how I know the answer is going to be true here. Yes, I'm just a little worried that we have 3 false answers. One of them might be incorrect. Usually the answers are evenly distributed between 3 options. So there should be 2, like since there are 6 questions here, there should be 2 true, 2 false, and 2 not given. But there are exceptions to that. I'm going to come back to these questions if I have time. So I'll move on now. A type of parrot. A diet consists of fern, fronds, diet. I think diet was somewhere here. What they eat. They're entirely vegetarian. Diet leaves, roots and bark of trees, as well as bulbs and fern fronds. So I knew the word forage, which means, looking for food. So they have trees. They eat fern fronds, and they also eat. So leaves is a part of a tree, root is a part of a tree, and bark is a part of a tree. I think bulbs is going to be the answer, even though I don't know what that means. So I'm just going to type in bulbs. Nests are created in where eggs are laid. So where are the nests? Wait, where are the nests? Are laid in soil, which is repeatedly turned over before and during incubation. It has to spend whatever. I need to find the nests. And it has to come in order. Are laid in soil, turn over before and during incubation. The female kakapo has to lie nest searching for food, which leaves, yes. So this is the nest, and it's laid in soil. Okay. Clear highlight. Wait. Oh, sorry. No. Why do they have built-in dictionary? That's so annoying. Okay. Arrival of Polynesian settlers. Let me just check what's going on. Okay. Yes. Yeah, I'm just going to continue. Like I said, the answers must follow order. So arrival of Polynesian settlers. Polynesian settlers. Yes, they arrived here. This is the location keyword. The something of the kakapo were used to make clothes. I remember it was feathers. Yes, feathers to make soft cloaks. Cloak is like a yapanchak, something you put on. Yeah, so it's gonna be feathers, easy peasy. I think I'm spending way too much time though. So arrival of European colonizers. And then European colonizers arrived, were an animal which they introduced that ate the kakapo's food sources. So what did they introduce? Or accelerated by just deer. I think deer is the answer, but I have to check. Which depleted the remaining forests of food. Yes, so depleted of food. It's definitely going to be deer. Other animals such as cats, stoats, and rats are predators, not animals that eat the same kind of food. So those are distractors. Now, protecting kakapo. First, I need to find Richard Henry. Henry. There he is. And then, definite sighting of female kakapo on Rakare was reported. Female Rakuru Island. Where is that island? Richard. Okay. Raquiro Island. There you go. Sighting of female kakapo. Sighting means like somebody saw the female animal had been produced. Urgent review. Wait, I don't understand. Fjordland. Was there a mention? Yeah, fuck. Sorry. So a large population of males was spotted here, a large island free from soats, ferrets. There were about 200 individuals. It was confirmed females were also present, have been the foundation of all subsequent work in managing the species. Okay, it took me long enough. In the year 1980, because before that, in 1977, it was only males. Females were confirmed to be present in 1980. There you go. So the recovery plan included an increase in, all right, it was hard to achieve, had been produced. Wait, recovery plan. What am I even doing? Sorry. Yes, that's the recovery plan. So they want to increase what? I just need a higher amount of funding. So funding. I'm just gonna type funding. But let's make sure that I'm not missing anything. Higher amount of funding. Yeah, that looks right. Okay. A current goal of the recovery plan is to maintain the involvement of something in kakapo protection. After the first 5 years, was on target for the first time today, to be guided by the kakapo. Its key goals are minimize the loss of genetic diversity, restore or maintain sufficient habitat, and ensure stakeholders continue to be fully engaged. Yes, so they want to keep these guys, stakeholders. Nice. All right. I hope this is not incorrect, by the way, but I'm pretty sure it's not. So let's move on. Passage 2, Return of the Elm. Elm trees. All right. I'm actually doing not that bad on time. All right. Now, this is the gem of my strategy. I told you to focus, like so far, what can we summarize in passage 1? Use location keywords. They're crucial. They let you do it really fast without having to read everything. And then focus on one question type at a time. Both in all passages, but especially in passage 2. That strategy of trying all the question types at the same time falls flat on its face in passage 2 because of this question type. Matching information to paragraphs. You know why? Because these questions never follow order. They're very random. They're scattered throughout the passage. You don't know. You cannot tell beforehand where they are because they don't have any location keywords either. So what my strategy suggests is that we should do these in the end. So we're going to save whatever the first question type is in passage 2, we save it for last. It could be either this, matching information, or matching headings, right? Either case, we'll do it last. And you'll see the magic of this. Because after, for finding the answers to the other 2 question types, you have to read the whole passage or almost the whole passage. And once you've done that, this becomes super easy, like super, super easy and satisfying. Yeah. So I'm going to start with, well, first I'll figure out which of these question types comes first. So for that, I need Matt Elliott. By the way, when you have a list of names like this, the list follows order, right? The names, they do follow order. So Matt Elliott is in the first paragraph, which means I'm going to start with this question type. Yes, I'll finish this first, and then I'll move on to this. There are only 3 questions here. And once I'm done with that as well, then, only then, can I move on to matching information. All right, if a tree gets infected, wait, first I need to read what Matt Elliott has to say. Okay, however, there's just skimming through. Any reintroduction will start from a very low base. The impact of the disease is difficult to picture if you hadn't seen what was there before. You look at old photographs, and it's only then that you realize the impact these guys had. They were significant, large trees, then they were gone. Okay. So he said the complete opposite of this. It doesn't become visible quickly. No, there must be an explanation for the survival of some. By the way, I need to try to explain this too. So it may be better to wait and see if the mature elms that have survived continue to flourish. So better to wait and see. No, there must be an explanation for the survival of some mature elms. So I'm just looking for this paraphrase of what he said here. And that's not that paraphrase. 21. We need to be aware that insects carrying this disease are not very far away. You understand the effect had, has had when you see evidence of how prominent the tree once was. That's it. Prominent is, I mean, it usually means famous, but here it means just how important it was and how spread out and common it was. So that's going to be A. And I continue. So the second guy is Karen Russell. So where is Russell? There he is, or there she is, maybe, or there they are, I should say. So still exist in the southern English countryside, but mostly only in low hedgerows between fields. We have millions of small elms in hedgerows, but they get targeted by the beetle as soon as they reach a certain size. Okay. So where we are with elm. Once a trunk of the elm reaches 10 to 15 centimeters, it becomes a perfect size for beetles to lay eggs and for the fungus to take hold. Yet mature specimens have been identified in counties such as Cambridgeshire that are hundreds of years old and have mysteriously escaped the epidemic. So the key, Russell says, is to identify and study those trees that have survived and work out why they stood tall when millions of others succumbed. Opportunities are limited as the number of these mature survivors is relatively small. What are the reasons for their survival? Avoidance, tolerance, resistance. We don't know where the balance lies between all three. I don't see how it can be entirely down to luck. So, okay. So he's trying to figure out how some of the trees survived the epidemic. I was reading here. It may be better to wait and see if the mature elms survived, continue to flourish of some mature elms. So there must be an explanation, yes. So he's refusing to accept that it was just luck, pure luck. So, which means he assumes that there has to be a reason, there has to be an explanation. That's Karen Russell, that is, yeah. Are not very far away. Okay, once perfect size to lay eggs and for the fungus to take hold are not very far away. I think that's also going to be B just because of this part, but I'm not too sure about this. I might have to change this. Right, so the beetle and like the beetle is the insect, one of the insects, and the fungus as well. I'm not sure if fungus counts as an insect, but we'll find out. I'm going to continue reading. For centuries, elm ran a close second to oak as the hardwood. I don't care. Where's the third guy? Peter Bourne. Where are you, Peter? Okay, you're on here. There you are. Okay. Notice how I completely skipped this paragraph because there are no names here, right? So my strategy allows you to just focus, be very focused, and look for questions only, like read only the relevant parts of the text and not waste time. So I saw Dutch elm disease unfold as a small boy. The elm seemed to be part of the rural England, but I remember watching trees just lose their leaves, and that really stayed with me. Local factors appear to have contributed to their survival. Wind from the sea make it difficult for the determined However, the situation is precarious. The Beatles can just march in if we're not careful, as the threat is right on our doorstep. I told you I might have to change the answer. So the Beatles are right on our doorstep, which means they're very close, which means 22 is in fact C. All right. So better to wait and see. All right. The damage rapidly becomes visible. Okay. So this might be C. I'm gonna just put C here. And again, I might have to change this answer because I'm not sure. He saw this unfold as a small boy. Uh, yes, they lost their leaves, etc., etc. The only problem is I just don't have the word rapidly, right? If there was a paraphrase of rapidly, that would 100% be the answer. Yeah, so this is a provisional answer now. Any prospect of the elm returning relies heavily on the blah, blah, blah. I'm going to look for the next name, Russell. Okay, there you go. So seedlings have been bred and tested to see if they can withstand the fungus by cutting a small slit on the bark and injecting a tiny amount of the pathogen. The effects are very quick. You return in 46 weeks, and trees that are resistant show no symptoms, whereas those that are susceptible show leaf loss and may even have died completely. So the results are very quick, very rapid. What did I tell you? Russell is B, so I'm going to change my 19 to B, right? So the key is choosing the keywords. My keyword here was rapidly. I'm just looking for the paraphrase of rapidly. And there it is, very quick. Once injected, it takes only 46 weeks for disease to spread and take its toll. All right, I'm looking for my last answer. Russell, again, the sky is everywhere. If you're putting elm back into the landscape, a small element of it is not native. Are we bothered about that? They will host wildlife, which is a good thing. On the face of it, it seems like a good idea, says Elliot. Wait, what was the question again? Yeah, so it's better to wait and see. You're replacing a native species with a horticultural analog. I don't know what that means. You're effectively cloning. Rather than plant new elms, the Woodland Trust emphasizes providing space to those elms that have survived. Sometimes the best thing you can do is just give nature time to recover. Thank you. Elliot, thank you, buddy. Just gonna call you buddy. So, yes, over time you might get resistance. So, we need to wait and see what's gonna happen. And that's what Elliot thinks, at least. There you go. Very confident in all of my answers. I pinpointed the text where I got the answers. Yeah, it's very straightforward. Now, for hundreds of years, the only tree that was more popular in Britain, the elm, was oak. I remember reading this. It was only second to oak. Yes. Ran a close second to oak. Starting in the Bronze Age, many tools were made from elm, and people also used it to make weapons. In the 18th century, it was grown to provide wood for boxes and what else? Storage crates and flooring. Keel. Wait. Oh, I have to focus. So were made from elm, and people used it to make weapons in the 18th century. Okay, I need 18th century. There you go. It was planted more widely, and its wood was used for items such as storage crates and flooring. So storage crate, I assume, is a box. And that means flooring is what I'm looking for. And flooring. Okay. Due to its strength, yes. So level of impact, that's strength. Elm was often used for mining equipment, and the Kaddish Sark something was also constructed for elm. Art to build the keel of the 19th century sailing ship. Yes, from elm. So Kaddish Sark, the ship's keel. I happen to know what that means. I think it's the bottom part of the ship. So okay, hot knife through the butter. Now, watch me completely murder these questions one by one. Reference to the research problems. I hope I'm not going to have to eat my words. Reference to the research problems that arise from there being only a few surviving large elms. Okay, so I remember this. There were only few left. Okay, where was it? There you go. Here, right? Yeah. So C is correct. So there are hundreds of years old, yet mature specimens have been identified, have mysteriously escaped the epidemic. But I just don't see research problems. I think there was something about that as well. By the way, do we have NB? Unfortunately, yes. So which means we can use one letter more than once. Details of a difference of opinion about the value of reintroducing elms to Britain. Difference of opinion was in the end, yes. So some people suggested waiting. Some were supportive of the idea. It's an easy G. Reference to how Dutch elm disease was brought into Britain. I think it was in A. In the aftermath, there's now hope. We'll start. You look old photographs. It's not A. Sorry. It blocks the elm's vascular, causing branches. A first epidemic, dried, triggered shipments. Yes, a shipment of elm from Canada. That's it. It's B. So even though I didn't read that paragraph before, I knew that it had to be there because logically, that's where it should be, right? The beginning of the problem. A description of the conditions that have enabled a location in Britain to escape Dutch elm disease. Uh, okay. Again, it's the same thing. So, limited number of what are the reasons for their tolerance, how it can be down to. Yeah, it's here. So, you just need to find that part. Yes, this part. Cambridgeshire is the area in Britain where these trees miraculously survived. And so I'm going to choose C. The last one, conditions. There were some conditions, but I don't care. The reference to the stage at which young elms become vulnerable to Dutch elm disease. At which young elms become vulnerable. Stage at which. Goes here. From the sea, determined the beetles can just march in. No. Okay. Then trees that are resistant show no symptoms or tolerant of the disease. This means a widespread reintroduction would involve existing or new hybrid strains derived from resistant, generally non-native elm species. A new generation of seedlings have been bred and tested to see if they can withstand the fungus. Young elm becomes vulnerable to Dutch elm disease. Okay, it's not. That's not it though. My initial answer is F, but upon consideration, wait, let me just first do that consideration. Not here. Much more a virulent strain that destroyed the vast majority of British elms. Exist where we are. Okay. Oh, fuck. Yes. That's it. But that can be another C. Wait, that means this can't be C. I've never seen a passage where the same answer was used 3 times. Strong winds from the sea make it difficult for the determined embark to attack his coastal population. However, the situation is precarious. Wait. City of total about solar crash appear to have contributed to travel. Strong winds from the sea make it difficult for the determined to attack this coastal elm population. Yeah, these are the conditions. Yeah, I was worried about this because I couldn't find the part where conditions were mentioned, but now I have. So it's a city of Brighton. City of Brighton, you sneaky bastard. All right, so CGBEC. Yeah, that looks better. I've spent. Uh, I have 21 minutes left. Let's continue. How stress affects our judgment. Okay, let's get this. So, here in passage 3, my strategy is very straightforward. It's the same as the previous ones, but I don't have to reorder the questions. I'm just going to start with the first one, 27. Everything here comes in order, multiple choice, matching sentence endings, and yes, not given. They all follow order. So with multiple choice, I don't read the options. I only read the question, find the answer, and then come back. So in the first paragraph, the writer introduces the topic of the text by. So how do they introduce the topic? So some of the most important decisions of our lives occur while we are feeling stressed and anxious, from medical and decisions to financial and professional ones. We are all sometimes required to weigh up information under stressful conditions. But do we become better or worse at processing and using information under such circumstances? Um, Decision to financial or ultimately required to weigh up information under certain conditions, but to become better or worse at processing. Defining some commonly used terms, questioning a widely held assumption, mentioning a challenge faced by everyone, specifying a situation which makes us most anxious. I'm going to choose C because, yes, some of the most, while we're feeling stressed, we're all sometimes, right? We are all sometimes required to do this. So it's something that's common to everyone, and it's a challenge. So easy. Next, what point does the writer make about firefighters in the second paragraph? So, second paragraph, firefighters. Um, my colleague and I, both neuroscientists, wanted to investigate how the mind operates under stress. So we visited some local fire stations. Firefighters' workdays vary quite a bit. Some are pretty relaxed. They'll spend their time washing the truck, cleaning equipment, cooking meals, and reading. Other days can be hectic with numerous life-threatening incidents to attend to. They'll enter burning homes to rescue trapped residents and assist with medical emergencies. These ups and downs presented the perfect setting for an experiment on how people's ability to use information changes when they feel under pressure. So the regular changes in their makes them ideal study subjects. Easy peasy. I'm not even gonna read the rest. So a perfect setting, presented perfect setting for an experiment. Actually, I am going to read the rest because you should. The strategies they use to handle stress are of particular interest to researchers. They're not completely wrong. The stressful nature of their job is typical of many public service professionals, not given. Their personalities make them especially well suited to working. It's not their personalities, but it's their working conditions that makes them perfect. So it's A. Okay, 29. What's the writer doing in the fourth paragraph? So we're going to skip the third paragraph, right? Third, we don't care about you. This is how we arrived at these results. We asked the firefighters to estimate their likelihood of experiencing 40 different adverse events in their life, such as being involved in an accident or becoming a victim of card fraud. We then gave them either good news that their likelihood of experiencing these events was lower than they thought, or bad news, and asked them to provide new estimates. So justifying their approach, setting out their objectives, describing their methodology. Yes, this is their methodology. So how the research was conducted. No findings yet. Uh, there's no justification, like they're not explaining why they're choosing this approach. And objectives. Objectives was set, I believe, here, I think, but I'm not sure, and I don't care. So in the seventh paragraph, I hate counting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is the paragraph. So the writer describes a mechanism in the brain which. So we need to find the mechanism. So a physiological change is triggered. Brain imaging reveals that this switch is related to a sudden boost in a neural signal important for learning, specifically in response to unexpected warning signs such as faces expressing fear. So the hormone or something like a substance related to learning is released in large quantities. So enables people to respond more quickly to stressful situations, results in increased ability to control our levels of anxiety. No, produces heightened sensitivity to indications of external threats when there's a need to communicate a sense of danger. All right, I have to read again. A mechanism in the brain which, so what does this mechanism do? Which causes us to take in warnings and focus on what might go wrong. Yes. Take in warnings and focus on what might go wrong. So more quickly to control. No, it's not. It's definitely not B. Heightened sensitivity to indications of external threats. Yes, that's going to be the answer, and it's given here. What might go wrong is external threats. Increased or heightened means increased sensitivity is to take in warnings and focus. So I think that implies this. And yeah, so it's basically a paraphrase. All right. Now, at times when they were relaxed, the firefighters usually, I remember this, so they when they were feeling relaxed, so they responded, they were feeling under, put them in a stressful, behaved in a similar manner. Oh, there's firefighters. Relaxed. Shit. Okay. So people are normally quite optimistic. They will ignore bad news and embrace the good. This is what happened when the firefighters were relaxed. So it made them feel more optimistic. Wait, which one? Wait, but when they were under, they will ignore bad news and embrace the good. Usually took relatively little notice of bad news. I'm actually going to change that to B. So because this is referring to the last phrase or the last clause. They'll ignore bad news and embrace the good. So ignore bad news means took relatively little notice. Another trick is the word optimistic is not paraphrased here, which usually means it's not the answer. So always be cautious about the words in IELTS reading that are not paraphrased. They're just distractors. All right. And I'm not going to fall for distractors. Too experienced. The researchers noted that when the firefighters were stressed, okay, so when they were stressed, a different pattern emerged. Under these conditions, they became hyper vigilant to bad news, even when it had nothing to do with their job, learning that the likelihood of card fraud was higher than they thought and altered their beliefs in response. So, in contrast, stress didn't change how they responded to good news. All right. So, when you're under stress, or when firefighters were under stress, they became more pessimistic, basically. They responded, yuck. They didn't respond in the same way, put them in a stressful, thought it more likely that they would experience something bad. Is it G? Hyper vigilant to bad news. Hyper vigilant. in a stressful situation. They were feeling under stress. They were responded. They took relatively, yeah, and nothing else matches. And it's paraphrased, right? So G makes sense. When the firefighters were told good news, they always behaved in a similar manner. Change, just learning that the likelihood, yes, how they responded to good news. So it didn't change how they responded to good news. They responded in the same way. They always behaved in a similar manner. All right. I hope this isn't incorrect. Okay. The students' cortisol levels and heart rates were affected when the researchers, so students and their cortisol levels, they gave a surprise public speech, spiked. It's a very good word, spike. It means sudden increase. You can use it in task one, if the context is right, of course. Their heart rates went up and they steadily became better at processing unrelated yet alarming information about rates of disease and violence. So, wait, what? About the rates of disease and violence. Their heart rates went up and suddenly they became better at processing unrelated yet alarming information. So, no, but this is when the researchers did something. So, researchers put them in a stressful situation. This is too easy. Almost like it almost makes me think that this isn't very authentic. I'll tell you why. Because you shouldn't be able to predict the answers by just looking at without looking at the text in matching sentence endings questions. But here I was able to do that. Right? Researchers, the only thing researchers could do was put them in a, but maybe not. So grammar all fits. It doesn't all fit. So wow. No, it does all fit. Yeah. Okay. Sorry. No, it is. This is authentic, but it's just a little too easy. In both experiments, negative information was processed between when the subjects were feeling under stress. It's D, but let's confirm it. Uh, I think there is nothing in the text there. I just need to remember everything I read and then choose the answer, which is exactly what I did. Okay. So let's continue the last one. I have 4 questions left and plenty of time. Easy peasy. So the tone of the content we post on social media tends to reflect the nature of the posts in our feeds. So the tone tends to reflect the nature of the posts in our feeds. Holy shit. Really? Okay, so they're saying there's a correlation between what you receive on social media and what you post. I mean, I don't know why it came to me as such a surprise, because it kind of makes sense. But let's find social media. Social freaking media, where are you? Hazards, whatever. Social media posting. raises your pulse, makes you sweat, and enlarges your pupils more than most daily activities. Can create stressful public event. All right. A wave of alarming information in social media you can just become very aware of, but that has the effect of exaggerating existing danger. A reliable pattern emerges, stress is triggered, which temporarily enhances negative reports, which increases stress further. Trips are canceled even if the disaster took place across the globe. I couldn't find where this was, actually. Phones have a greater impact on our stress levels than other electronic media devices. There's phones. Come on. I'm going to be late. After I think it's somewhere here. And respond to news alerts and comments on social media. Repeatedly checking your phone, according to a survey conducted by the American Psychological, is related to stress. In other words, a pre-programmed physiological reaction which evolution has equipped us with help us to avoid famished predators is not being triggered by an online post. Your pulse, yes, so this is not given. It's not. It's here. What the hell is wrong with me? Show that if we observe positive feeds on social media, such as images of pink sunset, we are more likely to post uplifting messages ourselves. Yes, of course. The tone, uplifting, positive. I just couldn't find the location keyword. My scanning skills are terrible. 37. Phones have a greater impact on our stress levels than other electronic media devices. Where are you? The freaking phones. Phone. Okay. It's not given because there's comparison and I didn't see any comparison here. So there's no comparison between phones and other electronic devices. Okay. Yes, that's good enough. The more we read about a stressful public event on social media, the less able we are to take the information in. I think it was the opposite. Call me crazy, but I think it was the opposite. So after a stressful public event, just as natural, okay, let's highlight this. There's often a wave of alarming information in traditional and social media, which individuals become very aware of, but that has the effect of exaggerating. Also, so a reliable pattern emerges, stress is triggered, spreading from one person to the next, which kinds of daily with other people will take in negative reports, which increases stress further. Trips are canceled even if the disaster took place across the globe. Stocks are sold, even when holding one on is the best thing to do. Precautions, that's completely true because that's where this is. Take information in. I think it's no. Stress is triggered, spreading from one person, which temporarily increases the group of people will take in negative reports. Focus together with the fact that it spreads extremely rapidly, we can collectively fear that it's not always justified. After a stressful natural disaster, there's often a way of alarming information in traditional and social media, which individuals become very aware of. So I'm going to say no, right? So the more we read about a stressful event, the less able we are to take information in. Okay, that's a bit hard actually. 38. It's probably not given. Our tendency to be affected, I'll come back to that. Wait, I'm late? No. Can be used in a positive way. Our tendency to be affected by other people's moods can be used in a positive way. The good news is that positive emotions such as hope are contagious too and are powerful in inducing people to act to find solutions. It's yes. So yes, not given. No, yes, yes. Yes, not given. No. Yes, yes. I think that's right. 3 yeses, which is weird. 3 minutes left. I'm tired. But yeah, that's my strategy. Do I want to check? Wait, I have 3 minutes. Let me make sure I got everything right. Reflect the nature of the post in our feeds. That's totally true. That's totally true. Where is it? Yes, positive feeds. We will turn more negative posts. Yes. Greater impact. No. The more we read about a stressful public event, the less able we are to take. No. Great bus can lead us to take unnecessary precautions. Yes, these are unnecessary precautions. We tend to cancel our trips, and we sell our stocks, etc. These are unnecessary because the thing is happening across the globe. The disaster took place across the globe. Yeah, I'm very confident. My answer, okay, all correct. Congratulations. Now, passage 2. Again, all correct. Well done. Passage 1. Don't you dare. Yes. Nice. Nice. 3 falses. Who would have thought, right? 3 falses, all correct. I told you I would come back to this, but then I forgot. So, but yeah. Okay, I got 40 out of 40. I mean, it's not surprising. I've done this before in the exam many times, but it was a bit stressful. And I think that's going to conclude the live stream today. So I hope everything went well. I feel like 18th is C. It's in the middle of the paragraph that starts with "it's also important." Yeah. Claps for you, Mister. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Bless us with the same knowledge. Yeah. I hope so too. So very nice. I don't know why I'm so excited. Come on. But I hope it was clear. Cambridge 20, my walkthrough, my process, and my strategies and my tips. So I focus on one question at a time. That's key to my strategy. And then I also use my location keywords very effectively, right? Even though I'm terrible at scanning, I use my location keywords. They help me out a lot. And everything is smooth, right? Like I didn't have to put in too much effort. I mean, of course, you need to have good comprehension skills as well and vocabulary for to spot the paraphrase. But in general, yeah, that's how I do it. Okay, guys, thank you so much for staying with me until the end. Maybe reading these reading speed runs might be the most boring ones out of 3. So next live stream will be task 1. I'm pretty sure more people will show up for that one because it's writing, and yeah, maybe reading is not that fun, but I thought it could be useful. I'm gonna think about doing it like figure out a way to do it more in a more engaging way. Maybe I should just focus on one passage, use a different tool, because I couldn't highlight as well as I wanted to here. And yeah, I'm open to suggestions as well, of course. So feel free to leave me your feedback, maybe here, but I think it'd be better if it was in the Telegram channel because that's more permanent. So yeah, thank you one more time. Have a wonderful rest of your evening and see you on Thursday.